In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Listen closely, my beloved one, and let me speak clearly. Often people do not realize they are working against a sacred plan until problems appear in their lives. By then, the spiritual forces have already begun to act through hidden channels. You did not set out against them, yet the unseen realm took decisive steps on your behalf. Consider this, my child. Through many ages, those with a deep spiritual bond have often looked ordinary on the outside. This is so that proud people will reveal their true selves through their actions, while the ones I protect can move forward without hindrance or distraction. This same pattern happens whenever someone tries to block a person I have chosen. That is exactly what happened with you. Others saw you as gentle, reserved, even unassuming, different, too peaceful, too inward. Simple labels people use when they do not understand you. What escaped their notice was the sacred protection surrounding you. This barrier not only shields you, but also affects anyone who dares cross it and reflect on this, my precious child. Does it not tell you something? That the very ones who ignored you now find themselves troubled at the thought of you, uneasy after their encounters, and disturbed by your presence. This is not by chance or accident. It is the natural result of their own choices. So understand this clearly, my child. This message is not merely comfort, it reveals a sacred arrangement. It is about uncovering truth. We will now see precisely why they had no understanding of whom they truly faced until they disturbed something they had no right to challenge. Firstly, they confused your inner stillness with weakness until they met the authority you possess without needing to announce it. They assumed you lacked influence because you did not react as they anticipated. You did not argue back then. You did not point out their failings. You did not lower yourself to their level in their limited view. This meant you had no strength, but they failed to grasp that your stillness was not surrender. You were not silent because you were unable to speak. You were silent because speaking was unnecessary. Your very presence communicated deeply, and they lacked the spiritual sensitivity to perceive it. They mistook humility for helplessness. They believed because you avoided conflict, you could not stand firm. Because you did not boast, you must have little value. But this is what occurs when people operate from their own inflated sense of self. They assume anyone who is not loud must be failing. Yet you are not seeking victory in a trivial disagreement. You are maintaining your position in a struggle invisible to them. What they missed is this, my cherished child. Genuine strength does not announce itself. It does not require validation from others. It does not need to prove anything. You did not need to show my favor upon you because your life itself demonstrated it. You did not need to display your resilience because your continued existence already did. The fact that you did not respond in the manner they desired was your response. That was your indication. When they disregarded that signal and persisted in their challenges, they finally understood. That is when things they could not explain began to unfold. People started moving away from them. Their plans ceased to work. Peace departed from their life. They began thinking of you, often feeling troubled by their actions. And suddenly it became clear you were not someone they should have bothered. You were not just another person. You were under my watch, protected, sent with purpose. That is what truly unsettled them, not your words, but your spiritual standing. You did not react outwardly. because there was no need. You knew who you were in connection with me. And now they grasp it too, but it took them violating that sacred boundary to realize that often those who carry the most power are the most quiet, not from fear, but because they are sustained by me. Secondly, they did not understand they were challenging my authority. Not merely an individual, they believed they were simply confronting you, just one person. What they failed to grasp is that when they stood against you, they were actually standing against the entire spiritual truth that supports you. They were not just speaking negatively, spreading false stories, or planning secretly. They were unknowingly initiating a spiritual conflict against something far beyond their understanding, because you are not just someone moving through the world with a pleasant way and good principles. You are someone carrying my sacred direction. You're not just liked, you are given purpose by me. This means whatever attempts to oppose you is not just opposing a human being. It is coming against the very design I created and sent into the world through you. As a result, those who mistreat you rarely flourish indefinitely. Difficulties begin for them, and they cannot comprehend why their connections weaken. Their chances fade, and they start to feel spiritually depleted. It is not simply misfortune, it is a response from the spiritual realm. They disrespected, because spiritual opposition is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle. It is an unseen reaction, not punishment, but adjustment. They assumed they were just engaging in unimportant games. Your connection to meant I regarded their actions as an affront because of who you are to me. You are not just one face among many. You are a specific assignment I have sent forth. You are a channel for my work. Their efforts to weaken, disrupt, or control you were, without their knowledge, disrupting a sacred purpose. And within spiritual order, that is not permitted. There are consequences when you interfere with someone who is under my protection. They viewed it as trivial, but they failed to grasp the true price involved. They did not know that while they were acting from their own self-importance, you were walking with my authority. True sacred authority that does not need to shout or display obvious power to make its point. It simply exists. When the weight of their actions finally settled upon them, they realized they were not contending with a person. They were contending against a force, an entire spiritual reality. My spirit working within you. So no, you did not wish them harm. You did not strike back. You did not lift a finger, but I did. Because when someone attempts to disrupt a sacred purpose, it is not you they are testing. It is against the one who commissioned you. And such challenges invariably conclude with the same distinct result. Thirdly, your spirit holds a nearness to me they will never reach. And that is what disturbs them. Now, there are certain qualities you possess that cannot be imitated, faked, or even fully described. One of these is your access to the spiritual realm through me, your closeness with me. My beloved child is not a thing purchased intellectually, acquired or gained by seeking approval from others. It's something I placed within your spirit before your life on earth even began. The truth is, those who tested you were simply not ready for the depth of access you walk in. They observed only your outward traits, your mild manner, your calm, your composure, and concluded that defined your entire being. They didn't know there were sacred realities within you that were not for them to intrude upon. Your place with me is not a matter of being superior to others. It comes from my authorization and presence with you. You have been through things that have prepared you for a closeness with me that many will not know. My child, When others tried to force their way into your life with harmful intent, difficulties arose for them. You didn't cause this, my precious one. It was simply that they crossed a boundary I had drawn around you. And stepping into a place where one doesn't belong always brings results. What truly surprises them now is the calm you kept through everything. You didn't feel the need to justify yourself. You didn't react as they expected. That steady, peaceful way you were was a sign of your true place. And it bothers them now because they see they couldn't handle it. They thought they were dealing with someone common, but you are linked to a power that acts and transforms. They didn't know the depth of your link to the Spirit until their own lives started showing the impact of crossing that boundary. They tried to grasp you based only on what was visible, but what you hold isn't grasped by earthly reason. It's spiritual. And now they understand. They have seen how ways open for you that stay shut for others, how troubles clear for you after hardships that would crush many, how your name matters even in places you've never been. That's not just luck, my cherished one, that's access given by me. The very ones who tried to oppose you now face opposition themselves, because when you walk with my backing, you aren't just living your own life. You are carrying something much larger than yourself. And those who didn't see your worth are only now understanding they were never meant to meddle with your way. They looked at how you appeared on the outside, my child, and missed the truth of who you are inside. They judged you by what was visible: your clothing, your speech, your origins, your possessions, your company. In their narrow perspective, this told them all they needed. They believed they understood you completely. They thought you were ordinary, easy to label, easy to discard. What they didn't grasp was that they were using temporary ways to measure something lasting. And that is always an error. They focused so much on your past that they entirely missed the reason I sent you. They studied your outer image while ignoring your true being. And by doing so, they failed to see the most important thing about you, the part hidden from their sight. Because the truth is, my beloved, you didn't come into their lives to amuse, to belong, or to impress anyone. But they couldn't see this, for it did not align with their concept of how strength ought to manifest. They expected someone chosen to look refined, powerful, rich, noisy, or overtly pious. But you simply showed up as who you truly are, and that challenged their false way of living. Consequently, they sought to diminish you, ridicule you, and regard you as inferior because they lacked the spiritual sight to discern your actual position. What is notable now, my child, is that the very things they made fun of are the signs they now dread. They dismissed your inner calm, but now they cannot find peace. They minimized your path, but now they watch you in secret. You didn't need to alter anything. You simply remained true to the way I set for you, and over time, your purpose became plain. You didn't have to say a thing. How your life unfolded showed the difference. You weren't flashy. You were simply living as I meant for you to, and that is what started everything. They couldn't see your true place because their inner sight wasn't trained to see past the surface. And now, my cherished one, it is costing them more than they ever thought possible. They didn't realize that I know you, my child. But now the dark realm knows you too. Throughout an extended season, you lived with little notice, keeping a low profile. You weren't loud or seeking notice. And you didn't try to build a reputation for yourself. You were simply doing what was needed, growing, learning, listening, staying close to me, even when no one observed. This led the majority to believe you were merely an ordinary individual. They didn't grasp that your hidden years weren't empty time, my beloved child. They were preparations led by my hand. My knowledge of your identity predated anyone else's. But the moment they opposed you, the instant they attempted to interfere with what I had already set apart, that is when circumstances began to alter, the moment they came against you with bad intentions, they unknowingly made the spiritual world fully aware. What was quiet became known. What was unseen became clear. And while they still saw you as small and easy to handle, the dark realm began to tremble, because it recognized your purpose. Their challenge became, the moment you were shown, you didn't fight back with sharp words, but your strength to last, your refusal to give up. And your spiritual place spoke louder than anything they said about you now. The dark realm knows who you are. Powers that once watched from afar now scatter when you were near. You used to be a possible worry. Now you are a known force in the spirit. Why? Because you didn't shatter. You didn't lose your way in the mess they made. You stayed firm, and in doing so showed what you truly hold. They didn't realize that trying to harm you would draw attention to my shield over you, but it did. I had already set you apart. Now the darkness knows it too. That is why the challenges have grown bolder, but also more frantic. That is why the spiritual struggle feels stronger. It is because you are no longer just a quiet presence. You have been made active. You have grown into the very person they feared you might become. They tried to test you as if you were just like anyone else. Now they face the reality that your name is recognized in unseen places. In those realms you are viewed differently than before. Some are glad for this. Others feel apprehension. What they meant to use to hurt you, my child, turned out to be like lessons for you. And you moved through them successfully without even realizing it. They believed they were bringing you down whenever they spread untruths about you, sought to bring you disgrace, or arranged for your downfall. They perceived themselves as victorious. They imagined they were weakening your inner spirit, trapping you, or eroding your trust in yourself. But what they did not understand, my beloved, is that they were never truly in charge of how things would unfold for you. What they intended for harm, I had already purposed to turn into something good. Every difficulty they presented was secretly a challenge for your spirit, and you met each one without conscious effort. Those times you felt let down, that was a test of your commitment to your own inner guidance. The moments you were pushed away, that was a test of whether you would abandon your path to seek acceptance from others. The times you were wounded by those close to you, a test of your ability to keep your inner self clear even when hurt. Their perceived attempts to shatter you were in fact fortifying you while they were busy trying to damage your standing in the world. They were actually revealing your true nature to the spiritual realm. You were not being destroyed. You were being shown for who you truly are. Their actions did not show your weaknesses. They showed the strength within you. I saw how they treated you, my cherished child. And it was witnessed by more than just them. Beings in the light and those in the shadows watched your journey unfold. What they did proved something they did not wish to acknowledge. That even when they were at their most unkind, you did not give up, nor did you become like them. You consistently chose a higher way. This was not because you were untouched by their actions. It was because the truth within you would not allow you to lower yourself to their level. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of spiritual maturity. They thought they had control over your path, my beloved one, but I was using their very efforts to elevate you without them ever knowing. Each hardship they introduced became an opportunity for you to advance. Every trap they set became a place where your inner resilience was made clear. And while they celebrated what they thought was your decline, the unseen world was quietly recognizing your growth. You did not even realize you were being tested, yet you passed remarkably well. That is what disturbs them now. The person they tried to lessen only revealed a version of you they were completely unprepared to see. Not defeated, not bitter, but they knew through difficulty. They underestimated you, my child, because their own spirits had not gone through the necessary refining experiences. They did not misunderstand you because they lacked worldly knowledge. In fact, many of them possess sharp minds, are well educated, articulate, and navigate the social world skillfully according to human standards. But cleverness does not grant spiritual understanding. What they lacked was the deep inner experience required to recognize someone who has been shaped by inner trials. So when they encountered you, they could not truly grasp who you were, and what the limited self cannot grasp, it seeks to manage or dismantle you, made them uncomfortable. And they did not understand why you were not aggressive, you were not seeking conflict, yet something about your presence unsettled their sense of ease. That something was the grace upon you. Your very being brought to light what was hidden within them. This was not because you judged them, my precious one, but because you did not align yourself with their ways, and that simple refusal exposed what they believed they had kept hidden. You did not need to issue warnings or speak sermons. Your inner state caused their own inner unrest to surface. And that is why their first reaction was to push you away. Those whose spirits have not been refined can only evaluate what is visible on the surface. They depend on outward personality, appearance, background, and behavior. But they cannot perceive spiritual standing, for that requires a depth they have not yet reached. They looked at you and saw nothing extraordinary. What they could not see was how many inner battles you had to overcome just to stand there in peace. They did not see the nights you wrestled in silent pursuit, the losses you bore without hardening the internal purification you underwent without any observers or acclaim. That is what gave you your spiritual stature, not titles or looks or charm, but quiet, steady faithfulness in private moments. And because their spirits were not trained to perceive this, they treated you as a threat instead of someone with wisdom to share. They tried to dismiss you because they could not comprehend you. They attempted to confine you within their limited perception of existence. But in that very act, they exposed their own state, not yours. They exposed their spiritual immaturity, their unresolved hurts, their resistance to truth. They were not ready to meet someone who did not need validation, someone who was not performing for others, someone who carried true authority without seeking attention. They could not recognize the seasoned soul standing before them because their own spirits had not completed their foundational training. They learned the difficult way, my child, that you do not need to strike back at people. You simply need to persevere through their actions. You did not raise your voice. You did not call them out publicly. You did not gather proof or plan vengeance. You simply endured. And for a soul like yours, endurance was not passive. It was power in its truest form. They expected you to collapse. They anticipated you would react aggressively, lose composure, and embody the opponent. They persistently depicted you as but instead you kept moving forward. You kept healing. You kept shining. That is what troubles them. Now they are realizing you never had to retaliate, because your very existence was a divine declaration. Your continued peace after everything they inflicted upon you is more revealing than any spoken response could ever be. It proved they held no true power over you. All their actions, ranging from rumor spreading to manipulation and assaults on your inner being, proved ineffective against the shield around your life. Presently, the calm resilience they once misinterpreted as frailty communicates to them with greater force than any spoken charge might. The truth is, my beloved child, those who walk with me are shielded in a way that does not require them to seek retribution. That protection handles it. Your only task was to keep going, and now that you have their exposure is automatic as they observe your flourishing. Their falsehoods increasingly disintegrate. The more your peace grows, the more their inner turmoil increases. They are wrestling with regret, suspicion, and the consequences in the spirit world. This is not due to any ill will from you, but because truth carries weight and your life continually demonstrates it. When others sought to trouble your spirit, they were in truth testing my own calm. I have no need for grand displays. I simply allow the truth of what happens to show itself. And your life is showing it clearly. My child, without anger or wishing harm, just a quiet, certain demonstration that you are always under my care. It isn't your words that bother them. It is your firmness. Your ability to stand steady force them to look within, and for the initial time, they were compelled to confront an aspect of their own being, lacking any alternative target for it. Their fault finding you did not just get through their actions, my precious child. You brought their true nature into the light simply by continuing to stand. You stirred their reaction because you held something inside that they tried to grasp. In the spirit, they weren't after your outward way of being. They didn't look at your circumstances with envy. What they truly wanted was the strength within you, the calm power you held, the impact of your being there, how the atmosphere changed when you arrived. But they didn't want to pay the price you paid to carry it. They wanted the effect without the journey, the brightness without the refining my favor, without yielding your own will. You did not merely acquire this spiritual state effortlessly. My child, you gained it through hidden times, through being set aside, through moments of loneliness, through following my leading when you were alone, and into the mysteries of your heart that almost overcame you. You didn't just get through difficult times, you were formed by them. The spiritual reality around you was not given easily. It was brought forth from you by difficulty. So when they attempted to copy you, mimicking how you acted, what you said, how you were, they didn't realize they were entering a place they weren't ready for. They tried to copy the outside without knowing where it came from inside. But the spiritual world saw clearly. The spiritual world understood the price paid. And the moment they tried to claim something in the spirit that wasn't theirs to have, things began to adjust according to spiritual law. Because the spirit world regards truth in the heart, not just wanting something. Truth is shown by facing challenges. You gave tears, wrestled and followed my will, my beloved, when every part of you wanted to stop. That is why what rests on you is guarded circumstances arose for them, my beloved, not at your request, but because my established order necessitates rectification. When someone tries to act like they have a spiritual place they didn't gain through trials, they are stepping into a spiritual space that responds when someone enters without my permission, my child. You see what happened to some of them? Their attempts faded. They found themselves struggling with unease inside that stayed with them. Chances seemed to disappear for them, and their hearts found no peace. This happened because they interfered with things I had set aside without being ready themselves. What they looked at in you wasn't just luck or how you seemed outwardly. It was a spiritual reality, a depth I give, and that is gained not by copying others, but by yielding to me repeatedly when they attempted to fill your spot. My beloved, they didn't just disrespect you, they showed little regard for me who prepared you for this task. That's not just a small offense, it's a serious error in the spirit and the spiritual world responded as it must. Remember, my child, you didn't come looking for importance. You arrived because I sent you to do something specific. You didn't need a name, a public place to stand, or anyone else to agree to show why I sent you. You weren't sent to be looked up to for yourself, but to do the work I gave you. You didn't arrive showing signs of might. You came carrying out my instruction, and that's why at first they didn't pay much attention to you. They didn't see the spiritual meaning in your quiet faithfulness. They didn't see the holy nature in your quietness. You didn't look like someone with spiritual authority, but that's because true spiritual effect doesn't look for attention. It acts in line with what I intend. Spiritual place isn't about how much noise you make or how many are behind you. It's about the area of effect. I grant you it's my authorization to bring calm where the spirit is unsettled. That's why some places felt disturbed the moment you arrived, my precious child. Verbal expression from you was not even required. Your spirit held a truth that disturbed. What was kept in the shadows, individuals thought they simply felt aversion towards you. But their true reaction was to the alteration your presence initiated. You carry my authority to change the spiritual atmosphere of a place. Not because you learned it in front of others, but because you were formed by trials when you were alone. That's why the environment seems to shift around you. It's not how you appear on the outside, it's my support when you arrive. Things kept secret come into the light. Established patterns are shaken. People are either unsettled or uplifted, but they don't stay as they were. They didn't feel threatened by you at first, my beloved one, because you didn't require it. You simply walked in a different manner. You moved like one who had gone through hard tests but showed no sign of being broken by them. You spoke with calm assurance, not with pride, and this confused them. They were used to loud people who had little insight, yet upon sensing the calm, the spiritual correctness, the subtle influence around you, that is, when they understood, they were not encountering a mere individual. You weren't simply one more person acting a certain way. You were a spiritual truth sent by me, supported by me, put into motion. You came not to be praised, but to set things right in the spirit. And when they finally understood this, the moment had passed, the spiritual atmosphere had already changed. They attempted small fights with one who had already moved through struggles they couldn't even picture getting through. They believed you were fragile, easily moved or defeated, but this was just because they didn't understand how deep the spiritual battle you fought alone was. You were struggling for your inner peace, the heart of your spirit, your very existence. And not only did you get through it, my beloved one, you came out with the signs of your tests and a clearer knowing of the way ahead. That is what made you strong, not your voice, not your place, not even what you said, but the road you traveled. You have already conquered spiritual resistance. They are still caught in you. You have already brought hidden untruths into the open, that they are still protecting you. Have moved through great hardship, found calm in pain, and struggled for your spirit with me during times when no one else knew how much you hurt. So when they stood against you, my precious child, they weren't meeting someone new to this. They were facing one who has been deeply changed in the spirit, not just one time. Others tried to guide one who had already traveled further along the spiritual path than they had. It was never a fair match, not because you were naturally better, my child, but because hardship had already shaped you. You did not just react to what they did in their narrow thinking. You saw the spiritual truth lying beneath their actions. When their voices rose, you remained steady because you had already known a spiritual stillness so vast it might have overwhelmed you. Disrespect from them did not prompt you to strike back, my beloved, for you had already seen what real spiritual challenge involves, and their actions did not register as a true danger. They came to you thinking they were gaining an advantage, but they stepped into a spiritual place their own spirit was not ready for. They thought they could control you, but I do not allow such attempts against one I have set apart. You are not merely someone who has gone through things. Your steadfastness has distinguished you, and when they stirred up that spiritual truth within you, they learned the hard way. It is not a small thing to challenge one who has walked through deep shadows and come back with a quiet strength. Praise did not shape you, hardship shaped you. And that is the manifestation of you for which they were entirely unready. They labeled you proud, my child, but what they sensed was the inner power I placed within you. They didn't call you proud because you boasted about yourself. They called you proud because you did not make yourself smaller. You did not dim the light within you to ease their discomfort. You did not waver in your own certainty to soothe their lack of it. You spoke with clear insight, you acted with calm confidence, and you entered spaces as if you belonged, my cherished child, even when you were the least understood person present. That alone was enough for those who do not grasp spiritual matters to call you too much. But the truth is, they were not reacting to pride, they were reacting to the spiritual position I have given you. True spiritual strength holds an inner truth that cannot be pretended, duplicated, or created by human effort. It comes from being in step with me. It comes from letting go deeply within, and it is often not understood by those who still rely on what they do outwardly and on getting approval from others to feel they matter. When someone has not built their own inner core, they see your calm certainty as thinking too highly of yourself because they do not know what it feels like to be truly complete within themselves. My precious one, your presence feels like a challenge. Merely through your presence, you brought to their awareness aspects within themselves they were still neglecting. You were not trying to compete, but just by being present, you shifted the spiritual atmosphere of the place. You were not trying to dominate, but your very being showed their lack of inner spiritual depth. That is how it is with those I have set apart, my beloved. You are not required to exert effort to radiate. You simply do. And that is hard for people who have built their sense of self on what others say about them, instead of on my confirmation. You did not act out of self-importance. You acted according to the work I gave you. You were not focused on being correct. You were rooted in what is true. But they could not see the difference because they have never had to face great hardship to discover who they truly are. Their sense of self came easily to them. You had to let yours go deeply. So know, my cherished child, you were not proud, you were moved into action, you were sure. You were no longer saying sorry for being shaped by my hand. Those who did not understand that were never reacting to how you behaved. They were reacting to the spiritual truth you held. You did not bother them by what you said. You bothered them by who you are. And they saw they could never become that until they were ready to release their own sense of self-importance. And many of them are still not prepared for that. They were trying to play a simple game with someone. I have already shown the full picture of things. Real peace for your spirit comes from leaning on me inside you, my child, not just from figuring things out with your mind. Even when your path feels empty or dry, keep moving forward, knowing I am working to bring freshness and new life. My comfort is not always taking the hardship away at once, but giving you the inner strength to go through it. Great changes happen not because I change your situation, but because I change your heart. This inner work lets you know me more deeply, seeing me not just as the one who makes things right, but as the one always with you, whether things are calm or you are still waiting for calm. Trusting in me is the way ahead, leading you from where you are now toward the good future I have promised, my beloved one. Every step on that path shows your trust in my faithfulness more than in what feels easy right now. Whenever you opt for gratitude over complaint or silent reliance, instead of questioning, you solidify the foundation upon which you stand. A future moment awaits when you will reflect and perceive that you traverse circumstances you once believed insurmountable. Do not permit seasons of delay to lead you to believe. I am remote, my beloved. I am not delayed. My lasting peace shows the deep love I have for you. I have not forgotten you. I am putting something together far more wonderful than you can imagine. I see all of you. I am active in manners you cannot currently perceive, aligning all elements precisely when they are intended to converge, directed by the appropriate links. In this time of waiting, I call you toward my quiet peace. This time of waiting is not for worry, but for settled trust. Hold this truth firmly. The one who started a good work in you will surely bring it to completion, my precious one. You do not need to know the exact time, just know that I am coming near. You do not need to understand how I will do it, only that I am doing it, and you are not given the job of keeping everything from breaking apart, because I am the one holding you up. Pay close attention to this truth, my child. Putting your full trust in me will absolutely never mean you are let down, never. The tears you shed in solitude, I will tenderly remove them with my touch. The quiet prayers you offered that felt unheard will become the very foundation upon which wonderful things will be built. And the time you spent waiting patiently with strong belief is not lost. Every single moment is fully seen by me and held in my memory. Grasp this reality firmly. I am he who fulfills my word. My nature is untouched by the passing years. It brings me deep joy that I chose you. Lean into me, my child, like a young one, finding safety in a father's embrace. Let your innermost being settle close to my heart and breathe out your worries. You are exactly where you are meant to be, held securely in an embrace that will never let go. My delight in you comes not from your endless strength, but from your steady steps forward. I witnessed you holding on to faith even when things around you were difficult. I saw you stand tall again after falling down many times. I heard your quiet pleas in the deepest hours of night. Understand this, my precious child. The way you walk is profoundly significant, seen even by those beyond this world. Consider your journey now, from the moment your trust first began, through living me into your inner space, speaking truth without fear, to living a life today firmly rooted in reliance on me. See with the eyes of your spirit, not just what your physical eyes show you. Witness the deep change I have brought about within you. It is more than just outward mending. It is your spirit made new, hope rekindled, and a new time beginning inside you. The genuine marvel lies not merely in the alteration of your surroundings, but in the profound internal transformation you underwent. You are no longer the person you used to be. You have come to journey alongside me, to discern my guidance and to affirm yes, even when the path ahead lacked clarity. You have come to understand my ways. Your innermost being now aligns with my gentle guidance. Your steady persistence brings me great pleasure. My beloved one, I know there were moments you felt tired. There were times you wondered if your journey had any real meaning. But look at yourself now. You kept going not by your own power, but by the strength I provided for every step. Everything you have walked through, the tears shed when you felt alone, now serves as proof, showing clearly that I keep my promises. Keep this truth near your heart, my child. Your journey toward becoming whole within is not finished. Just because the difficult times have lessened, it is marked by a trust that has emerged, one that cannot be shaken, a trust that values endurance, comprehends yielding, and loves with greater depth, having experienced grief. This deep knowing is now rooted firmly in who I am, not just in seeing things change around you now. My cherished child, I direct your gaze ahead, not always towards outward goals, but inward, leading you further into knowing me, further into daily gratitude, further into simply being with me, into truly listening, into valuing the people around you. There is a light within you, my precious child, not because of your own striving, but because you walk through darkness and found me there with you live now as a whole person, free from worry, free from holding back, free from the fear of being hurt again. Your purpose is not to shrink away from what is difficult, but if to show forth what is good. You do not face the hard parts of life on your own. You live knowing with certainty that I am always by your side. You are a living witness, my beloved, to a searching world, showing that expectation can endure. You are a home for my spirit alive. I have beautifully ordered. Tell others about the way you have walked. Share the time you first declared your faith. Share about the moment you welcomed my tranquility into your inner being. Show them the strength found in the promises you have kept. And let them witness the deep calm that comes over you when you simply say, I rest in God. My precious one, what I have established deep inside you can never be removed. Cruel words cannot uproot the deep knowing that was forged through sorrow. And my presence, a challenging period, cannot disturb the life that finds its footing securely on my unchanging nature. Stability resides in you, supported by my being, always producing what is right when it is needed. You do not need to accomplish grand things to please me. Just live each day truthfully, and simply you have remained until this moment, my child, and your spirit has received these truths. I have shared your devoted attention to this message honors me, confirming the seeking heart I placed within you. You have journeyed through seasons others could not comprehend, enduring tests that were in truth my hand shaping you. The quiet strength forged in those hidden moments is now known. Do not underestimate the weight of that transformation, my precious one. Now let the truth you carry be seen. This is your sacred assignment. Continue to walk in the peace I have established within you, regardless of the outer storm. Return for deeper understanding, for there is more to unfold. My guidance is constant, my presence is sure, my protection remains. Your covering, my peace, is your inheritance. Rest securely, my cherished one, in the embrace that will never let go. Now, my child, receive the next message I have prepared for you.